Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to the Iftar program presented by Al Huda Youth Council. My name's Isra, and I'll be joined by my wonderful co host, Rida. The purpose of this program is to have insightful conversations and to connect with our community before we break our fast. We want to thank you all for tuning in. So, without further ado, let's start. The topic for tonight's session is how to have tawakkul on Allah when things get hard. And our guest speaker tonight is Sister Tasneem Ghauri. Let's give her a warm welcome. Tasneem Ghauri was born and raised in Montreal. She is one of 11 children and has always been active in her community. She has studied with the Islamic Online University and with local scholars. She has lectured on the Being Me Muslima Empowered platform in Malaysia and Australia, and has participated as a speaker and workshop presenter in Toronto as well. She also supports Being Me by conducting Islamic workshops at various schools across the GTA and participating as a speaker for their Legacy Tour. She is the former chair of the Amal Center for Women and former vice chair of the Sisterhood Softball League. She plays basketball, is an avid baker, and mother of two very rambunctious homeschool girls. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Tasneem. If it's all right with you, inshallah, we can just go ahead with the questions.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Alrighty, so to start things off, could you please give a definition of tawakkul and what it is?
So بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. We always begin by sending peace and blessings on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without whom we would not have all of this abundance of knowledge that we can pull from. And we send peace and blessings on his family, his companions, and everyone who follows him until the last day. And of course, we always start with the dua of Musa alayhi salam, asking Allah to increase his knowledge and make whatever he had to say easy for him. So tawakkal, it comes from one of the names of Allah. And that's sort of what I wanted to center our discussion today on, and is the name of Allah, Al-Wakil. Al-Wakil means the one who is entrusted with something, the one that you would go to if you had a need, the one who you have confidence in, the one who you feel has your back. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Wakil, and Tawakkal is the act of placing your trust in someone who you feel can take care of whatever need that you have.
Jazakallah khair for that explanation, because I feel like sometimes we forget what the true meaning of tawakkul is, and we just think just trust in Allah and that's it. But the true meaning of it. So, as for our next question is we've been in this pandemic for over a year now, and many of us are feeling a sense of hopelessness. How can we achieve tawakkul in the States?
So one of the reasons why I wanted to frame and bring Allah's name Al-Wakil into the discussion today was simply because when it comes to figuring out our way out of any difficulty and hardship, when you understand who your creator is and you understand who actually is in control of everything, especially at a time when you feel so out of control and you feel like those who are in charge of you are also out of control, you need somewhere and someone to feel that sense of confidence in. So in a time like this, refocusing on who Allah actually is and understanding that Allah is Al-Wakil, Allah is the one who has the capacity and the ability to manage everything. And take care of everything, and because not only was he already doing that from before, he will continue to do so. So once you have this sort of connection with Allah, and through understanding this particular name of his, that he is Al-Wakil, that he's the one who deserves to be trusted, then it helps give you like a lens. It's sort of like putting on like a bit of those glasses that you have for, I use them sometimes for ultraviolet. It's like putting on a lens, and then through those lenses, you look at everything else in your life. You look at the pandemic, you look at online schooling, and you look at every other difficulty through the lens of understanding that Allah is Al-Wakil, Allah is the one who's taking care of everything.
Jazakallah. To go into the next question that intertwines with this, to have tawakkul, a Muslim has to be patient. What's your advice on staying patient, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic?
So one of the things that really benefits the believer, and it's something that Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned, and I've mentioned this, I think I mentioned this last year too, that he mentioned that our deen is two halves, right? Like sort of like you have that, that broken heart emoji. So the two halves of the heart, like our deen is like that. Half of it is, half of it of that heart of our iman is having patience, and the other half is gratitude. And so those two elements together will give you the ability to be able to get through anything that you need to get in life. So particularly in a difficult time, it really, really helps you to be grateful for all the things, little things that you do have. And to focus on those things instead of, I can't go here, I can't do this, I can't do that. If you shift your focus and you look at what do I actually have? Look at the situation of people in different places in the world who are also experiencing this pandemic, but perhaps don't have the same luxuries that we have at home, sitting very comfortably, access to internet, access to clean air, water. So there's, when you understand that the deen is half patience and half gratitude, and yet the two of them help each other. So your gratitude helps you to be more patient, and then your patience helps you to slow down and look around and see what there is to be grateful for. So they really do work hand in hand.
That makes sense. Like you can kind of just see like how it intertwines with one another. And so with that answer in mind, humans are addicted to an instant gratification. How can this negatively impact a person's tawakkul?
This is such a great question, to be honest. And I was going to mention this at the top, but when I was thinking about this topic of tawakkul, I was thinking how much I need this topic first. And I think none of us is immune to just how crazy everybody feels right now over all the things that we're going through, and how I needed this reminder first about having this tawakkul in Allah and having trust in Allah. And then when I heard this question, I was like, this is a great question, because this is the issue with us nowadays, is that we feel like we have control. And what instant gratification does is it gives us this false sense of control, that if I click this, this will happen. If I do this, this will happen. And it's happened so right away. It happens so fast. So you get a false sense of control over the things in your life. And that's the opposite of trusting someone else. Like, do you trust your friend to take care of, you send them on a mission. Can you take this to somebody's house and do this for me? And how much do I trust that you're actually going to do it? So when you feel like you've let go of that control, that's when you're putting your trust in someone or something else. So instant gratification, it really just gives us that illusion that, okay, I'm in control of everything. And when I do this, this happens. And it really tears down that ability to really put our confidence and trust in someone other than ourselves. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do is instead shift that focus and understand that Allah is al-Wakil. Allah is the one who's deserving of trust. He has the capacity to do the job. He cares about you. He loves you. He invested in your potential. So when you're able to just relinquish that control and give that control back to Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to help you. And then you're able to be a little bit more patient and understand that it's not in my hands. It's not in my control.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. I know it can be hard sometimes to let go of that control, but it's important to look beyond ourselves and find a greater trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moving on to the next question, how could we find a balance between having tawakkul and then still staying motivated and continuing our efforts throughout life?
Well, there's the beautiful thing about Islam is that there are so many aspects of our deen that really give us the equipment that we need and the tools that we need to be able to be successful. The problem is that, if you've got a hammer and nails and it's just sitting there on your tool shelf and you never pick it up and actually use it, well, you'll never be able to build a shelf or build anything, right? The point is you got to pick up those tools, learn how to use them, and then actually use them. So when it comes to the things in our deen, like the Prophet ﷺ, I'll just give you one example. He told us that the best deeds are the ones that are consistent, even if they are little. And there's no one here who doesn't have the ability to do small little things, small little good deeds, small little, tasks that you can do every single day that will help you to, create a better environment for yourself, create a better sense of awareness, create a better, sense of how you feel and how you view everything. Everybody has the ability to do that. And that's just one aspect of what the Prophet ﷺ has taught us. There's so many other things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Prophet have told us about, being, again, with gratitude, being grateful and saying alhamdulillah and doing shukr, and just being grateful that, for all of the little things that you have. All of these things lend themselves to you being able to keep to stay motivated, stay hopeful, stay confident, stay positive. There has to be something that drives that creates that produces that. And so all of the things that Islam teaches us about being grateful and about looking to those who have less than you, about doing small little things, all of those things lend themselves to those feelings.
That makes complete sense, because the thing is, when we're not that grateful, then we start losing that consistency. And like, I think that's like the biggest thing, because like in the month of Ramadan, people start like losing their consistency, because like they start like they miss one day of doing something, and then they'll think like, oh, like they can continue to do that. But then when you realize that what you have, or what Allah has given you, then ultimately that is the true happiness, right?
Yeah.
So the next question is, if someone is discouraged with what is happening in the world today and is losing their tawakkul, how would you help or advise them?
One of the things that I really try to teach as much as I can is just reconnecting with Allah. As human beings, like we come from a very pure place. All of us, before we came into this world, we were with Allah. And then suddenly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took our souls, put it in the womb of our mother, and then we came out into this earthly existence where we cry, we are happy, we feel pain, we suffer, we get sick, we get better. It's such a raw experience here on earth. So there has to be something that takes us out of it into something better and more peaceful and more calm. And what that is connecting with Allah, and talking to Allah, learning about Allah, and seeking to find and recreate and get that connection back. And it's only by getting that connection back with Allah that you will be able to transcend all of the craziness that's around you and really take yourself out of it, see the bigger picture, see past all of what's exactly right in front of you. Then that's when you're able to do it. So learning about Allah, who he is. That's why I started with the name of Allah Al-Wakil, because when you learn about who your God is, who your creator is, it gives you that opportunity you cannot connect with someone you don't know. You need their bio, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us his bio. He's told us in the Quran who he is, what he isn't, and has let us know who he is. So he wants us to connect to him, and this is how we're going to be able to take ourselves out of the mess of what we see around us.
Jazakallah khair. That was a really good answer. But for the people that are in the mess we see around us, with civil unrest in many Muslim countries, if you could speak to someone struggling in one of those places, what would you tell them about tawakkul?
So tawakkul is a challenging thing, because sometimes people will feel like, well, I left everything up to Allah, and well, look at the mess that I'm in, right? You sort of feel like, well, I left my life up to Allah, and I don't think he did a good job, because look at the mess I'm in, right? Sometimes people actually have those thoughts, and people in really challenging situations in the world, people who are not able to go about their daily life. Just going to the grocery store is like a huge challenge, or you don't even know if your father's going to come home, and at the end of the day. A person in that situation definitely would feel that. What I would ask that person is, ask them what they believe about their creator. What other things do you believe? Yes, you placed your trust in Allah, and you left it up to him to take care of things. But what else do you know about God? What else do you know about that Allah? Is he a vengeful Allah? Is he like someone who's mean and out to get you? Is he someone who like doesn't have your best interest at heart? Is he someone who's like, just sitting there waiting for you to mess up and laughing at it? That this is not the Allah that we believe in, that we say la ilaha illallah about, right? Allah is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. He loves us. He's Al-Wadud. He's Al-Wahhab. He gives us gifts. He's Al-Kareem. He's generous. He's rich. He's Al-Alim. He's wise. So when you start to realize that this is the Allah that I've left my affairs in, what that does is it shifts your focus, and you're now able to see that there must be something good in what is happening. And even in those challenging circumstances, you're still able to have positive thoughts about Allah and to look for what is Allah trying to teach me by putting me in this situation. Because Allah does say in the Quran, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, that I have not given anybody, I don't ever give anybody a challenge without giving them the tools for them to get through it. That famous quote that says, like, if Allah is going to get you to it, he's going to get you through it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's going to give you the tools to get through what you're going through. And that journey that's the essence of what your journey is figuring out, what is Allah trying to teach me? Because he loves me, he cares about me, he's invested in me, he wants what's best for me. So I can't despair of Allah if in this situation. I have to now shift my focus and look and say, what is it that in this situation that Allah is trying to teach me? What is he trying to get me to develop in myself by putting me in this hard circumstance? And even in those circumstances, you'll find people will still have that ability to look at what's positive and be grateful for the little things that they have. And the Prophet ﷺ would always say that no matter what situation you're in, there is always someone who has it worse than you. And even at the, like Yusuf alayhi salam, for example, when he was thrown in prison, right? At the end of the day, like, if all you have is your iman and your belief, and everything else around you is just fallen to pieces, then you can still at least say, Alhamdulillah, I have my belief, right? Like, there's always something that you're going to be able to be grateful for that's going to help you be patient. And the two together are really going to help you have a strong footing.
Thank you for that wonderful answer. To add on to that, right? Like the thing is, sometimes we have like adults, or we have people in our lives who just tell us like negative things about Allah. Like, if you do this wrong, then this is what's gonna happen to you, and without bringing like the positivity into it. And so sometimes people will take like that whole, like when you mentioned like that people have like worse than you as well, right? Sometimes people will like take that like so like in a downhill way, because for them it's like that people have it worse than them, so it's like their situation doesn't really matter to them anymore then.
Yes, I think, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was thinking, I think you mean people want to be validated, right?
Yeah.
You want to have what situation you're going through validated. And so one thing that I would say to people, like someone in that situation who isn't feeling that way, is to just remind them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must really have a lot of confidence in you, and he must really believe in your potential. He must really believe in your strength. He must really believe in your persistence. He must really believe in your determination. He must really have confidence in all of these amazing qualities, because he chose to put you in this circumstance, right? So yes, there are people there who have it worse than you, and that doesn't take away from whatever situation you're going through. But whatever you are going through, know that Allah, because he's Al-Rahman, he's Al-Hakim, he's Al-Wadud, he's Al-Kareem, he's all of these amazing qualities. That's who he is. He has confidence in you. He knows that you're able to handle whatever it is. It's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, like, has this confidence. He's hired you for the job, and he just wants to see, are you gonna do the job? So it's like an employee-employer kind of relationship too, in some ways, like he sees your resume, he's like, okay, I can give her this task, this task, this task, and this task, and not those ones, so I won't give her those. And then he's like, okay, you're hired. And then what? He's not going to give you a paycheck if you don't do the job. So it's exactly that. If he puts you in this really traumatic situation, or really like awful circumstances, it's because he believes you can handle it. So it's a vote of confidence from Allah. So if anything, if you need validation from anything, you're getting your validation from Allah by the fact that he's put you in this circumstance and he thinks you can get through it.
I never looked at it that way before. That's really mind-opening. So how can we apply tawakkul to our daily lives, like more specifically to find sincerity in salah and the night prayer?
So again, I mean, one of the things that I always highlight is just learn more about Allah as much as you can. So you can pick up the Quran. You can find a lot of resources out there that talk about the names of Allah. And if you're gonna stand before someone and you really want to make a good impression with them, you really want to make sure that you get what you need from that person. You would do your research, right? And find out, what is that person like? What are they not like? What should I not say? What should I say? How should I play this? So when it comes to your worship, what else is it except a conversation between you and Allah? When it comes to your dua, when it comes to you being in front of Allah, what else is it except you trying to impress him and then try to get what you need from him. So in order for you to be able to get the most out of that encounter, that relationship, you have to do your research. You have to get to know who Allah is. You have to get to know what is it that he's going to be pleased with. What can you show him that will impress him in terms of how, you know, how well you take care of your wudu and your clothing and your mind frame and your time and all of the things that you know that Allah values. You bring that in front of him and you say, okay, look, I'm going to present my best self in front of him, and I'm going to ask him for what I need, because I know because he's al-wakil, I know he can take care of it. And I have that full confidence and trust. It's sort of like one of the teachers that I was learning from was saying it's kind of like hiring a lawyer to speak for you, right? Like, would you hire a lawyer as someone like you're trusting with your affairs, really? Like, let's say you were, you know, in some difficult circumstance, and you're like, you would want to pick a lawyer who is you trustworthy, pick a lawyer who really has a vested interest in you know what's going to happen to you, right? So you would develop this trust with that person so that they take care of your affairs for you. So when you're standing in front of Allah, like, you want to make sure that you understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of taking care of whatever it is that I'm going to present to him. He has a vested interest in me. He cares about me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never does anything bad. He only does good. He's wise. He's knowledgeable. And when you start to think about all those things, then it increases your confidence. And that's what tawakkul is. It's confidence in the fact that Allah can handle this stuff that I'm going to bring to him. That's really what tawakkul is. It's just confidence in what Allah can do for me and getting that connection, that trust with him.
Adding on to that point, right? Like, it's just, there was that one saying where it's like, you trust a pilot, you trust an Uber driver, you trust all these people, yet you don't trust Allah, the one who put you here. That's what it kind of reminded me of. That
Yeah.
one.
That's true. Nobody goes and asks the pilot, you know, in the airplane, you know, what's his resume or what do you have for dinner, right? Nobody really goes and asks him that. So, I mean, it's just because, you know, like one of the reasons why I explained why that happens for us, it's again because there's an element of control, even with the Uber driver, even with the pilot, even with that, there's an element of like, I can see the control that I have, and I can feel like I'm part of the control of the situation, because I know that, you know, flying is safe, and it's something that people have done before and all of that. And it's all about stuff that you've experienced and touched, and it's all tangible stuff. And when you're dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you cannot see him, you cannot, you know, touch, feel, and you can't experience him through any of your senses. It's really just an affair of the heart. It's just your heart believing and trusting and connecting with something that's outside of anything physical. And so it really is part of your iman. It's really closely linked to it because it's just in your heart. It's not something that you have control over, and it's not something that you can feel and touch.
That makes sense.
Jazakallah khair, sister, for all the amazing answers to these questions. Like, some of these were really mind-blowing. I loved every minute of it.
Barakallahu feekum, jazakallahu khairan.
So now is the time for everyone listening, watching, whatever you're doing. It's time to make dua. So take the next 5 minutes before iftar to really try to make the most sincere dua you can. And we'll be back later on to read the adhan.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Jazakallah khair for everyone for tuning in today. We'll be having another iftar session tomorrow and next week. Jazakallah khair Fitri Tasneem for coming in today on the topic of tawakkul. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Have a great iftar with your families.